In this brief module, our focus is on critical success factors for effective change. Our goals for this module are to review the evidence base of research on the drivers of effective change. Specifically, we'll look at what research has to say about Kotter's 8 steps, as well as a broader set of research insights on change based on a recent systematic review of the literature. We're also going to compare the change model in this course to the evidence base. Finally, by going through our change model yet again and comparing it to research on Kotter's model and the evidence-based meta-practices, we're increasing the depth of your understanding of key practices and CSFs that will help you lead change effectively. As a quick review, our framework involves 4 stages of change: analyze, initiate, implement, and sustain. First, the analyze stage is focused on diagnosis and preliminary design of the change. This entails analyzing stakeholders, diagnosing the organization's capability for change, and developing a change model to address the threats or opportunities that are driving the change. Second, the initiate stage involves developing a compelling and inspiring vision that is communicated and disseminated through a coalition of change supporters, as well as a sense of urgency that change is necessary and entails a constructive dissatisfaction with the status quo. Third, the implement stage entails 4 key levers to make change happen and help the organization build momentum for the change and overcome resistance. Socialization involves developing and training people to adopt new norms and routines, as well as reinforcing those that are consistent with the change. Committing involves creating an ongoing tension between the present and the desired future that motivates actions consistent with that future. Rewards include both intrinsic and extrinsic incentives at individual, group, and organizational levels. Redesigning refers to mechanisms and metrics to monitor the change performance and feedback loops to redesign and reframe the change to optimize effectiveness. Finally, the sustain stage is about institutionalizing the change. This involves redesigning and re-implementing the 4 levers just noted and diffusing the change throughout the organization. In effect, this stage is an ongoing feedback loop intended to make change stick. Kotter's 8 steps for effective change are widely used and cited. A recent review of research has shown some support for each step. Let's take a quick look at each. First, establishing urgency means creating discrepancies between the current and desired future state of the organization in ways that lead people to be dissatisfied with the status quo, what we call constructive dissatisfaction. A guiding coalition is needed to exert positional and expert power to build credibility and trust that the change is truly necessary. Developing a change vision and strategy are needed to create a shared understanding of the desired future and to unify and motivate actions that drive members toward that future. That vision needs to be communicated through multiple 2-way channels, including direct supervisors. Communication includes both sending messages and listening to both supportive and opposing voices. Empowering broad-based action is needed to build ownership and intrinsic commitment to the change so that people feel they are part of the change. Achieving short-term wins provides motivational energy, rewards, and early proof that the future state is possible. It also reinforces the change vision. Consolidating gains helps further validate the change strategy and builds continued momentum as success metrics are achieved. Finally, anchoring approaches and culture is critical for making change stick and requires support structures, new norms and beliefs, as well as reinforcement of existing norms and beliefs that are consistent with the future state. Let's map Kotter's 8 steps, which we'll show below the line, to our framework, which is above the line. Kotter starts number 1 with establishing urgency, which is out of sequence for our model. We'll see that urgency can create chaos if there's no diagnosis or plan to understand the organization's capabilities and future. Number 2, the guiding coalition is part of our analyze phase. Kotter then moves to vision development and communication in number 3 and number 4, which is consistent with our initiate phase. It's important to notice Kotter's steps overlook most of the analyze phase. In terms of diagnosing the organization and building a preliminary change model, we can map Kotter's 5th through 8th steps to our implementation and sustained phases. Yet, Kotter's model overlooks the need for feedback and redesign that is critical for sustaining the change. So overall, there is general consistency between our model and Kotter's 8 steps, though the sequencing differs. And from my perspective, Kotter could place greater emphasis on analyzing and diagnosing the organization as an input into design and change vision. Feedback and redesign also needs more attention to ensure the change is sustained.